All right, I've mugged back for the episode of Carnivore Trades. Today is Thursday, April 18th, 2024. If you're not done so already, please give the video a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com for swing trading alerts, analysis, and live day trading. Anyways, let's get into it today. So markets today, little bit of another fade. Doing the video a little on the early side. We got the live stream for members at 4:05. But I don't think we're going to do a ton here before the end of the day. You can see we're kind of just wedged here between 50.20 and 5,000. I think that pin job will hold until the close. So they're really just kind of burning out premium. In case anybody cares, tomorrow GEX is right around 50.50 on the top end, 50 and then 500 on the low end. There is a few levels below. Off the top of my head, I want to say 49.85. Maybe another one, maybe 49.95. I'm not sure. But there's a couple of spots, and they line up perfectly with this gap here. So 49.81 spot 8 was the close right here from that gap. And you can see we're close. I mean, 20, 25 points, right? It's not that far away. I've been talking about how I've been looking for a gap down. If we could gap down to those lower levels tomorrow, I think there's a good chance the market could get a pretty good recovery, but it does seem like all signs are pointing to a 500 type pin tomorrow. Even on the SPY, just tons of open interest at 500. So, and then kind of on the top end, you have about 505, which is just above today's high. So right in that area, right up here. If you guys follow the SPY, that's what we would be looking at there. So again, I'm still kind of in that camp right now. A couple of things I do want to talk about though. Sentiment wise, we definitely had our first uptick, real uptick in bears on AAII. It's not perfect, it's not the best indicator, but it is above your historical average now for bears. So that's a pretty good uptick when you're at the below 25 for multiple weeks in a row, and then you jump up about 10 points. I definitely find that significant. Another thing that happened yesterday as well is put call ratio hit 1.11, which is very high. So very, very high put call there. A lot of the time these can mark lows. I'm seeing those signs here. Additionally, if we look at, again, we've talked about the hourly RSI, no new lows there. Now the 4 hour getting into the basement a little bit. A little stretched. So I think a gap down here gives us some type of a bounce. Or at least the potential for that. Daily, not oversold yet. It doesn't have to be, but it's not, it's down. It's getting down there. So again, I do think we're closer to a low than we are, a high or having more selling. We're closer to support than we are to resistance. I should say that. That's a better way of putting it. So I think just right in this area here, 49. I've talked about this plenty of times. 49.70, right? Weekly 20 MA. 100 MAs, it's up sloping 49.30. This would be like the extreme here for the near term for me. If we got down there, I mean, that would certainly induce a pretty sizable V shape. I'm still in the camp that we're not done yet. I still think we have a little bit more downside to go in the bigger picture, but in the short term, starting to get on the stretch side here with the markets. So again, we'll see if they fill that gap tomorrow morning. We're just kind of pinned right here to 5K. We could also, it could also get put off until next week, right? If they want to just burn everything out at 5,000, we could just chop there tomorrow. I mean, that certainly wouldn't rule that out. But I do think market's getting a little stretched here to the downside. Bears starting to get a little off sides here. I certainly would not be opening fresh shorts down here. That's a good way to get your head ripped off shorting into the hole. But overall, another lower high here. Again, another gap up, right? And then we went up into the 50-55 area. The one thing that was interesting this morning is we had a higher low to work off of for the first time since we started dropping. And that little trend line I showed you yesterday, we actually, kind of sliced above that a little bit, but no follow through. So a little bit of a fake out there. And again, I'm still in the camp that we need a gap down here. It doesn't mean it has to happen, but that's usually how these things tend to work out in these sort of downtrends here. So in any case, really nothing is really changed from yesterday. Looking at yesterday's close, 50.22, we're at 50.10. Like it's not like a ton of things happened here, but again, seeing a lot of pitting effects, a lot of OPEX games, and again, I think post OPEX, those when those Once those effects dissipate, that 5,000 pin goes away. We'll see a little bit more of a more free market. But right now, market's under pressure still, and those gap ups have been for selling really for the last 4 or 5 days. Triple Qs here again. Now that's touching the 100. So again, we have filled the gap on the Qs. We're into the 100. You got a whole round number there as well at 420 on the triples. So again, getting a little stretched to the downside. That 100 MA is major. It is not parallel to price, or well, it is now, but it was not parallel to price like the 50 MA was when it was tested. So that should be able to hold up here. Doesn't mean we can't pierce a little bit, below it or something like that, but I do expect that to hold. And you also have that little pivot down there at 421.63 to look at. So again, not much is different there. I will say, Q's definitely starting to show some cracks though. ASML down again today. TSM down 5%. These semiconductors are not acting well, and I think ASML reported that demand was really starting to slide for chips too, which could be a negative for the whole sector. If we look at the SMH, that one continued down today as well. IWM here again, another down day here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, this is starting to get a little oversold here. You got a little pivot. I can't see it really going past the 200 right now, but we'll see what we get tomorrow. I would say resistance on this is going to be up to 200 or 202. I'd expect the next bounce to get us up in that area on the IWM, but I think that's about all the bounce is going to give us on the Russell, at least for right now. The Dow here up again, up another 28 cents. So again, the Dow remains the leader, and you see there's a little trend line here that we tried to get above, very much like the spiders on the diamond here, and that failed. Starting to bear flag a little bit here inside bar. On the diamond, I don't think it's done anywhere near enough consolidation to get through this. Look at this zone here. A lot of supply, or excuse me, a lot of demand. And you only have, 3 days of consolidation. It's not likely to get too far through that. So again, I do think we're closer to support than we are to resistance. The market's still under pressure, and the Dow leading is a sign of risk off too. So just be aware of that. Semis touched down a minute ago. Again, down again today. Coming into a little pivot low right around 207. Just basically kissed it. There's a gap all the way down here at 195. That's got a ways to go. But, I do think we will get down there at some point. Semi's definitely under pressure, and, maybe a little bit of a laggard bear, right? They've been holding up for a while, even though a lot of other sectors have sold off. And usually the leaders will be the last ones to go, and I think that's going to kind of be the case here, and I think we're seeing that right now. Also, cloud software continuing lower here. I want to see where this closes the week, because it's looking like we're going to get below that. We're going to stay below that pivot unless we get a mega rally tomorrow. So IGV under a lot of pressure here, and it's looking more and more like this wants to get down to 75 ultimately. Doesn't mean it'll go in a straight line. There will be bounces along the way, but that is, I think, the area that it wants to go back test. Transports here again, weak. So again, going tomorrow, like a lot of these things, tomorrow's close is going to be important. If we're below that green, that's a failure, and we've been consolidating for a long time. So you're going to have to, anybody who's been buying here trying to accumulate, if that fails, they're going to get all wiped out pretty hard. So that's a big deal if the transports can't hold here. We'll see what it does tomorrow. It's got a ways to go. It's got its work cut out for it. So be aware of that. All right, let's get over to rates here. 2-year, again, just consolidating bull. So 2-year yield still holding up. 20 MA can still catch up to price, no problem. 5-year, still backing off of this pivot. 10s, same thing. I think 10s are a little stretched here, as are 30s. But I think the 2-year still has some upside if it can just stay upright here, and it can push higher. XHB getting a pretty good bounce today, although it did fade. So this was actually pretty strong early on, and actually it made a higher high. Actually took out the last 2 days highs of trading, and then rolled over here pretty nicely. But still up 6 cents. There's 30 minutes to go. I don't know where it's going to close right now. Let me just check the spiders. Yeah, we're getting a little bit of a uptick here, but again, I think we stay kind of in this range here until the end of the day. But either way, Could this get down to the 100? Yeah, it could, get in there. I think that's about it for this leg, though, and then we're going to have to bounce. So, again, a lot of things I think are coming into some support here. So that's just kind of my bias. I'm not saying that, get gig along here. Maybe kind of dipping toes in the water is fine. But, markets here are pretty stretched to the downside. VNQ also pretty stretched, only up 2 cents today. I don't know what to do with this. I mean, I would say maybe 77.25. I guess you got a little bit of you got a pivot there. You got the breakout bar and then that pivot. So I guess it's going to try and bounce there. But again, that failed pattern, that told us a story there. You do have a 3-bar sell on the weekly, so maybe we get a bounce next week. But yeah, pretty good beat down there for VNQ. Let me just check a fib here real fast. Actually, basically almost into the 618. So we'll see. Maybe if that hits tomorrow, it could get a bid. But definitely getting hit here. XLF still bucking the trend. And that is despite, I think Blackstone reported, and that was down, yeah. So even despite these kind of weaker reactions to bank earnings, yeah, I think JPM getting a bounce today. Let me see. Yeah, Goldman was up. Yeah, so some of these fins are doing all right. Yeah, Berkshire up 62 bips. So XLF hanging in there. That's a good sign. I still think ultimately we're going down to 38 and change, maybe even back down to the blue trend line at some point. But yeah, decent showing there for financials. That's definitely a good sign for the market, especially when you see financials outperforming in a bear. It's a good sign, and they're definitely leading right now. So that's a positive. Even the KRE again, 2 days in a row green, and a tape that got smashed. So we'll see if there's anything more to that. Maybe it's just OPEX stuff going on too. It certainly could be the case. But KRE holding onto this little pivot here. That's in danger, though, if that breaks down. The KBE, again, same thing. Weekly pattern. Weekly green bar low. That's got to hold by tomorrow. Otherwise, that's a failure. Broker-dealers, I think it was like flat. Yeah, up just 31 basis points. Who knows? It's getting a little bit of bid. Now, what we don't want to see here for fins, and that goes for XLF and XBD, you don't want to see sideways here because that's going to set up another leg down. But right now, getting a little bit of a bid, and it's outperforming the market, so we'll give it the benefit of the doubt. Oil, big breakdown yesterday. Good rebound today. Still down 7 cents, but I don't like how you lost this nice. You had this nice like bull flag type structure, right? And then it just kind of broke down. So I'm not in love with oil here, and I think the highs are likely in. And it looks like we're going to close. Yeah, we might close the week below that breakup bar. So 82.60. We'll watch that level tomorrow. If we're closing below that, that would be a negative. I'm just going to be a little bit more neutral on it. I'd say right now. In fact, we might even be able to test this. Oops. We might even be back checking to this trend line again. But again, short term, I would say resistance is around 84 and a quarter. If it can get up there, and then 86. Is there a chance it can still get up to 90? It's possible, but the chances are much lower now. I think that it's much more likely now that the highs are in. But it got a bounce today. We'll leave it there. XLE is holding on. It was only down 22 cents today. Markets are trying to float up here. And it's holding that pivot high. But what I don't like is that, and I showed you this yesterday, it's below this pivot high. And if we close the week below that, that's essentially saying like failed breakout, right? So big breakout weekly, retrace, and then a failure. Especially if it closes below, 93.76, right? So that's the low of that candle. That'd be a negative. It'd certainly be a negative here. So that would tell us that energy stocks are likely in corrective mode. XOP looking kind of the same there. So that might want to go back down and revisit those moving averages. OIH here getting close to the 320 level. Let's see if we basically touched it today. This could actually hold here for a little bit of a bid. If it doesn't, next level is around 310. So those levels have really been unchanged. CCJ kind of just sideways today. That can still consolidate and go higher. URNM is a little bit weaker though. I don't like that pattern as much, but the bigger time frame is still okay. Nat gas today still just kind of chopping around in this range. We had inventories and actually held up okay. Usually gets dumped on inventories, and it held up all right. So we'll be watching this one here. It's definitely still Pretty attractive down at these levels. Actually closed out a winner on it in the trading room today on futures. So got a little bit of a bid there, and we'll see if that can continue to firm up. All right, dollar index. I'm testing 106.50. That pulled back here again. 105.50 and 105 are your near-term supports. If this consolidates, it can go higher, but it's got a lot to do, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks. Big breakdown there, so it's going to take time to get through that if it wants to. Gold here, again, still no new highs. It's still holding up though. I'm still kind of in the camp this is going to retrace here. I don't think it's going to retrace a ton. I still think it's very strong. There's lots of fundamental reasons why it's strong as well. But that's definitely a local high at the very least there for gold. Just look at GDX. Yeah, GDX holding up all right today. But still pretty, I mean, look at the volume on that reversal. So that's definitely going to mark some type of a local high here. Silver, same thing. Nothing's really changed there. SIL, green today, but again, huge mega volume on that sell. Platinum backing off. I think this might go a little bit lower, but I'm looking to scoop this up. I did play it, well, played this in Palladium a few times. Looking to get back in this. We were selling near the highs up here. I still think it's attractive. May come back down to this trend line. We'll see what that does, but definitely pulling back. And again, pretty much across the board metals pulling back. Palladium has not done much here in a few weeks. Weekly pattern, and it's trying to firm up here. Pretty uneventful there for Palladium lately, and copper just does not want to stop. So we talked about 445. That got touched today. And let me just go to the daily so we can pinpoint it. Yeah, so like right in, well, got it right here. And then you have that high all the way up at 450. So again, it kind of got to right here. And then this was like the impulsive high. And this was kind of like the real high, right? Because we actually had to trade through it a little bit. So, we'll see if we can go up to the impulse high maybe tomorrow. I don't know. I know a lot of the demand here for the AI centers is definitely helping out copper. And I think investors are figuring that out. All these AI chips and everything, it's going to require materials. It's going to require oil and gas too. So, but anyway, copper touching 445. It's a little overbought here. It's into that level. We'll just pay attention to it. Bitcoin getting a bounce here as well. Still looking for a little bit more of a drop in this, but and I think we'll probably get lower highs at this point with it. You can even see maybe back checking to this area, 68, 69. By the way, that was the previous all-time high. Kind of lines up with that too. So we'll see. I do think we're going to get lower highs. I think Bitcoin's probably in backing and filling mode. Needs to do weekly consolidation, but again, nothing really terrible with that. It's had a big run, and that's what happens. You don't just go up forever. You got to go and digest those gains every now and then. Alts are definitely a little bit weaker too, from what I can see. All right, so market's closing about 20 minutes here. Yeah, we're getting a little bit of a float up. I'm expecting this to stall out at 50.20 to 50.25 right now. See volatility coming in a little bit. Again, just those GEX levels tomorrow. I would expect our range to be 500 to 50.50, and that's kind of it. And that's kind of what the range was today too. So again, we'll see what we get. If we can get a gap down, though, I think risk reward's pretty good for picking up some longs. Market's getting a little stretched. We look at the RSIs, look at sentiment, look at put call ratio. It definitely is telling us here the market's ready for a bounce. The first leg of the bear is always the most shallow, and it's always the weakest. And you never want to get too bearish here after we're already down 200 points or so off the highs here. And really, I mean, you can make a case that from right here, yeah, we're down 250 points just from that reversal bar high. So that's only 2 weeks. So again, that's kind of where I'm at right now. We'll see what we get tomorrow. Again, OPEX, expect more pinning effects, more game playing. I can't wait for this to be over with. But outside of that, you guys take care. Come find me at carnivoretrades.com. I will see you guys all tomorrow.